I
feel
just
like
spoke
this
with
first
Lord
one gonna
Vader.
have music. I might need to use.
You spoke to him yourself.
He asked
Okay. Oh, Bumblebee.
Whether it's a red carpet event or even a nervous date, making a grand entrance is the key to attracting. Here we discuss the top 25 superhero entrances in the movies.
This is the Flash. What movie was it?
The Flash may not have made a splash at the box office, but it did give us not one, but two Batmen. To kick things off on this list, I'm going to go with Batfleck, who makes quite the busy entrance right from the start. The Batpod entry scene was a nice way for Bruce Wayne to kick things off in the movie, because, if I'm being honest here, it was one of the few enjoyable moments. As much as I love to poke fun at Batfleck's rendition of The Dark Knight, I've learned to give him more credit for his work. I mean, it's not like the DCEU had set ultra-high standards in the first place now, is it?
What's your mother's name? Martha.
Anyway, to see Batman launch at these goons right away in his Batbike brought some joy to the hardcore Snyderverse fans, because they probably won't see stuff like this anymore, thanks to James Gunn's creative vision. I just hope he can turn the DCEU into a utopia for fans, just like Travis Scott did with his latest album.
That's the because the song is called Utopia.
Speaking of James Gunn, here's a scene from his final hurrah in the MCU, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It wasn't perfect, but it had a lot of positives to justify over $800 million at the global box office. There are actually quite a few scenes I'd like to highlight, but since we're talking about entrances, I've got to go with Adam Warlock doing his face reveal. So the scene is just him flying with Crazy on You playing in the background, but it just looks so majestic that you want to watch it over and over again. Bro exuded a tremendous amount of riz without even looking at the camera. I still kind of find it hard to believe that this is Will Poulter.
I still think the second one was
into
my
a
favorite,
Hemsworth brother.
even though
I guess
most
it's only
people
fair
say
enough.
no.
He started off as a meme on Facebook,
You guys are getting paid?
and now he's thriving as a meme on TikTok.
You guys getting paid? I remember that.
Underoos!
Oh, Spider-Man, yes sir!
Okay, it goes without saying that Spider-Man would grab anyone's attention straight away, regardless of how he's introduced into the MCU. However, I've got to give it to the Russo brothers for making him steal Captain America's shield in the middle of his appearance. It's like Peter Parker wanting to remind everyone that he'll always remain Marvel's most popular character, regardless of the billions of dollars the other characters were minting at the box office during this time.
Downy does more to make clothes softer, fresher, and better. Because sometimes your work shirt needs to be a soft, cozy pillow. Downy, breathe life into your laundry.
Get a new cheesy calzone epic stuffed crust pizza for a limited time, only at Papa John's.
It's like I'm running y'all up.
Of course, he also has to strike that iconic Spidey pose while he was at it for additional riz, and I sure as heck wasn't complaining. Yeah, I know they kind of spoiled the moment by putting it in the trailer, but it was still a pretty effective scene which heightened the intensity of the already epic airport battle.
I ain't gonna lie, I'll be watching trailers, then I watch the movie just to see if I can see what they put in the trailer, in the movie. So.
90s kids are just built different. You want to know why? Because they were born in the era of classics like Goodfellas, Jurassic Park, and most importantly, 1994's The Mask. The cartoon was already a massive hit, so a box office success was pretty much guaranteed, but they still had to get the casting right, and oh boy did they nail it. Jim Carrey was such a perfect choice to play Stanley Ipkiss, and he sets things in motion the moment he transforms into the Mask. Now this also doubles up as an entrance because it's the first time we're seeing the Mask in action, and it's just as exciting as you'd expect. I mean, poor little Milo might have been worried, but apart from that, it was a classic scene that gave way to one of the most iconic kids' characters of all time. They really don't make movies like this anymore, do they?
I thought it was original.
I have come here to kick ass.
When we talk about the Transformers franchise, it's usually about Optimus Prime or Megatron as the two key leads. However, Bumblebee also emerged as a fan favourite, not just in the animated series, but also in the live-action flicks. I'm still not sold on his own spin-off film, but I was impressed by the way he came to the rescue in Rise of the Beasts. Dropping down from a jet is badass enough, but to start fighting midway through his landing just added a whole other level of sass to the entry. This scene obviously isn't just about looking cool. Bumblebee ends up saving Optimus from getting overwhelmed by all the enemy bots. I mean, he even tops things off with a perfect landing that looks exactly like the one Spider-Man did in the earlier entry.
This one or...
Sony really can do no wrong with Spider-Man. They've made billions through the MCU deal with Tom Holland, and the animated Spider-Verse films have been nothing short of spectacular. Keeping that in mind, I want to talk about the epic entrance of, you guessed it, Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099. He ends up saving Spider-Gwen from the Vulture, but anyone could pull off a rescue scene nowadays. It's that theme score that really elevates the entry because it adds so much to the character. I mean, I can hear that theme in my head every single time I think about Spidey 2099. For all you nerds out there, the general idea is that the score is sampled from Spider-Man Unlimited, which came out in 2000. I'll leave you to be the judge of that, but one thing's for sure, we need to see more of Miguel moving forward into the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah, I just the wings and everything else. Oh yeah, Spider-Man.
Out of all the superheroes who have ever graced the big screen, there's no one who can match the level of badassery that Tony Stark brings to the table. Bro's got so much sass that he can actually donate it to those in need. Maybe like Drax. That dude still hasn't caught on to the concept of sarcasm now, has he?
Stark, we need a plan of attack! I have a plan. Attack.
Anyway, when it comes to the topic at hand, the genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist sure has a flair for making an entrance.
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Just look at the scene where he rescues a struggling Captain America from getting his bottom handed to him by Loki. Of course, he's got to start off with a bit of harmless flirting with Black Widow, but can you really blame him? It is Scarlett Johansson after all. After hijacking her heart, Bro also hijacks her speakers to blast some classic AC/DC to complement his laser blasts. Honestly speaking, this is almost like a God mode entrance.
But you could never make the hard decision.
If Bumblebee gets an entry on this list, you can bet your bottom dollar that Optimus is going to show up somewhere.
Tangina! Si Optimum Prime! Robots in disguise. I hate these ads, bro. They're so...
Here he is in all his fuming glory as he swoops in to assist the humans in tackling the Decepticon army. I've got to say, Dark of the Moon really amped up his powers to a whole other level, because this entrance is pretty much a rage scene where he dashes in and smashes his way through the enemy. I mean, I'm not kidding, bro literally destroys 7 Decepticons in around 5 seconds, I think. Even if my numbers are off, you really can't get more badass than that. It's not just a case of waking up and choosing violence. Optimus actually pulls off an Uno reverse here, because the way things were looking before his arrival, Earth was definitely going to turn into an AI planet. Oh wait, we're already heading there, aren't we? Damn you, ChatGPT.
I might be AI, but sure as hell can smell a mile away.
Making a good entrance depends on a lot of different factors, you know. There's timing, execution, intensity, and most importantly, presentation. Megamind knows this all too well, as can be seen when he shows up to save Roxanne from Titan. His appearance can best be summed up in one word: grand. First, he had the element of surprise going for him, then he makes a sparkling display of his own face and walks right out of it. I mean, yeah, it is a bit narcissistic, but it does get the job done. On top of that, he actually has the nerve to lecture his opponent on the importance of presentation, even though he's technically in the middle of a rescue mission. Now that I think about it, Will Ferrell really was the perfect choice to play this role, because it isn't too different from what he does in live-action flicks.
He probably played the other guy. What did he play, Megamind?
Nah, I know which entrance you're expecting, but if you've seen my previous videos, you should be aware that it won't show up just yet. Not to say that this one isn't impressive though. I mean, you get to see the god of thunder blast the goddess of death with the most dangerous lightning strike in the history of lightning strikes. I gotta say, Thor sure has a lot of problems in the family department. Maybe that's why they haven't approached Chris Hemsworth for a Fast and Furious sequel yet.
I don't have friends. I got family.
None of that matters though, as the renewed badass makes a spectacular entrance into the battle zone, taking down every opponent in his sight with minimum effect. Huge shout out to the pose he strikes after his landing, because that's the kind of shot you want to frame and hang on your bed.
Hammer or a sword. The Dark Knight Rises. I don't think I watched this one.
If there's one thing you can be sure of in a Christopher Nolan film, it's that his characters will always leave a lasting impression. I know we're all in an Oppenheimer state of mind right now.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
But let's not forget that Nolan's fascinations with explosions began with the Dark Knight trilogy, especially the final installment. Want to know what else was explosive in this film? It was Batman's epic entrance on his bike as he takes down a bunch of goons trying to evade the law. Yeah, I know this sounds very similar to the Batfleck entry that kicked off this list, but make no mistake, Christian Bale's portrayal of Bruce Wayne will forever maintain its legacy in the history books. Just look at him go about his business. Even the cops can't help but watch and admire the class on display. Man, I really wish Nolan would return to this franchise, but he's effectively ruled that out as per his latest interviews.
They got George Clooney though.
The feminism is strong with Brie Larson, which is why I was a little surprised not to see her in Barbie. Anyway, she managed to make her point as Captain Marvel in Avengers Endgame when she arrives to the scene in the legendary final battle. It's typical, isn't it? Carol Danvers has to smash her way through an entire battleship just to let everyone know that she's finally made it to the part. That's some S-tier caramel, if you ask me. But hey, enough of the roasting. She makes a serious impact here because her destruction of Thanos' ship was what tilted the scales in favour of our beloved heroes. I mean, yeah, she does mess up in a one-on-one battle with the Mad Titan. You can only expect so much from someone with a bad haircut. Well, at least she's grown it back for the Marvels.
I'm like, when it comes to Disney, the Marvels.
Maya, you and I.
That was Daredevil for a second.
Batman is really dominating this list, isn't he? To be fair, there are quite a few actors who've played him, and even this one is from a different dude. 1 year, 5 months, and 50 eyeliner jokes later. I think it's safe to say that Robert Pattinson did us proud with his depiction of the Dark Knight, and I've also got to give Matt Reeves his flowers for taking the brand back to its detective roots. However, I'm not here to discuss my mystery crimes. I just want to talk about how the Caped Crusader makes an imposing appearance out of the shadows in front of some dudes with really bad makeup. I swear, they look like that guy matching with the Bernese Mountain Dog. Luckily for us, Sigma King Bruce Wayne gave them a good beating to establish dominance and justify his own goth vibes.
Okay. I didn't watch that Batman. I heard it was trash. I just saw this thing in X-Men 2.
Assassinating the President of the United States is no small task, and it's even more impressive to be able to do it within 3 business minutes of your arrival into the White House. However, what stands out for Nightcrawler in terms of his entrance is the disguise he uses to make his way inside. And if we are all being honest here, that fake mask made him look like a creep, but what follows after is nothing short of epic. It clearly was a bad day to be a national security guard, wasn't it? Now that I think about it, it was a pretty hilarious scene where a German directly swooped in and showed the Americans that their tax dollars were all going to waste. See, no wonder tax crimes come a dime a dozen in that country.
He almost did it.
See what I did there?
Perimeter breach at visitors checkpoint.
Oh, Iron Man when he...
I did say that Tony Stark is the king of grand entrances, so it only makes sense to have multiple entries with him on this list. Iron Man 2 is something of a mixed bag, and I can say that with certainty now that it's been around 13 years since it first premiered. The way Iron Man makes his entrance at the Stark Expo though, that was sheer class. Can you imagine what it must feel like to fly into your own exhibition in an overpowered tech suit with a whole squad of cheerleaders greeting you? I sure can. In my dreams, that is. No, seriously, all of those girls were a solid 10, and even then, Tony simply soaks in the applause and greets his audience like a true Sigma male. Yep, the Avengers scene might have been close to being one, but this sequence is easily a God mode flex. Are you even a TV region fan if you're not expecting a Superman entry in my top 10? The Man of Steel has plenty of memorable appearances, but none are as badass as his sudden entrance in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Steppenwolf really thought he was the boss here until, of course, Kal-El dropped by and violated him with one single sentence. The thing about this scene is that it's so sudden and dominant that it charges the audience with adrenaline. It would have been better if this was the first version of the movie to come out in theaters. Like, we already knew Superman was going to show up because we saw the 2017 version, but the sequence still manages to land such a high spot because of Clark Kent's classy dialogue. Oh, and it also helps to have a Henry Cavill without that CGI mouth. I still get nightmares thinking about that.
The dark side.
I understand that having a raging green giant living inside you might be a bit of an inconvenience, but it sure pays off when you've got an alien invasion to fend off.
I have an army. We have a Hulk.
I still believe that Mark Ruffalo's version of Bruce Banner is a touch too soft as compared to Edward Norton, but his Hulk alter ego was the right kind of overpowered beast. His immediate transformation in the Battle of New York sequence was effective and impactful, all within the span of just a few seconds. Bro literally took down a freaking Leviathan with a single punch. Watch out, Saitama, you've got competition. See, having anger issues isn't necessarily a bad thing. Hulk's badass flex just goes on to show that you should always be ready to smash, regardless of the situation. By smash, I mean fight, alright? Don't get that twisted.
And I will not be bullied by that.
Nope, smash. Batman vs. Superman, one of the mistakes there. I finished it.
Hey, listen, I might be a simp for Gal Gadot. If she can save DCU's most popular characters from doomsday blast beams, then she definitely deserves a spot right here. Wonder Woman is, of course, a goddess and a huge...
I'm opening a restaurant.
I still love the name.
You don't remember the name?
Of course I remember the name.
We didn't even tell anybody.
Huge chunk of that ability goes into her arm shields. We've seen it in effect multiple times, but never has it been so effective as it was here against the post-pubescent Zod. Now, we did get to see Princess Diana earlier in the movie, but this was just a bunch of brief appearances, so this technically counts as her first proper entrance. They keep calling it Batman vs Superman, but honestly, Wonder Woman deserves a huge shout out for pulling off such a badass moment.
It's okay, I'm a nice guy.
The build-up to Spider-Man No Way Home was probably the most exciting experience for all us Spidey fans, especially if you consider the fact that the movie released right after the quarantine restrictions got lifted. One of the reasons behind that was the speculation that we were going to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield show up as their versions of Spider-Man. Well, Andrew did try his best to ward off all the rumors with some very blatant lies.
It's Andrew Garfield playing Spider-Man again. Yeah. Oh, you almost got me. No, I'm not.
But eventually, he was the one to lay them to rest when he showed up in the movie looking fine AF. Like, there's nothing too dramatic about the scene in itself, but the context is all it takes for the crowd to lose their collective minds.
Maybe. Oh yeah, when he came from
the Infinity Saga will probably go down in history as the peak era of superhero movies. Sure, it can probably be topped later on in the future, but nothing can take away from the fact that Infinity War and Endgame are the OG juggernauts of the MCU. Of course, the franchise primarily worked because of the iconic trio of Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. Speaking of Steve Rogers, here he is with an entrance that not only looks super cool, but also spooked out Proxima Midnight as if she's just seen a ghost. The way Chris Evans grabs her spear and emerges out of the shadows is super epic, and who knows, it could have even served as the inspiration behind the Batman scene that I spoke about earlier.
good Batman. They should have edited Batman. That would have been cool.
Andrew Garfield is chill and all, but the OG Spider-Man is and will always remain Tobey Maguire. Whether it was the tremendous revolution he started with the first 2 films, or even the meme generator he became with Bully Maguire, the true face of Peter Parker will always remain as the one we saw all the way back in 2002. This is the man who inspired millions of kids, such as myself, to strive to be a better person and help whoever you can, whenever you can. That's exactly why his appearance in No Way Home was such a massive jolt of nostalgia that people would have loved the movie, even if the rest of its runtime was absolute garbage, which thankfully it wasn't. I'm a staunch follower of the whole with great power comes great responsibility philosophy, and that's why I have very responsibly placed Tobey in my top 5. Vampires aren't usually known as good guys, and that holds true even for the first Marvel film to turn a profit at the box office. However, there's one man out there who's all about going against stereotypes, and that's Blade himself. The man can do no wrong, even when it's our first time seeing him in the blood rave scene. I do sympathise with that poor guy who walked into the party thinking he was going to get lucky, because, well, that's what we all expect when we go to a rave, isn't it? Fortunately for him, he's only got blood poured onto his body and not out of it, as he bumps into Blade looking as badass as the word can ever mean. I mean, even the vampires look spooked after seeing the man as if they just came across their worst nightmare.
It's Blade. It's the Daywalker.
I'm not going to kill you. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
I did just talk about Tobey Maguire being the OG Spider-Man, but let's not forget that the DC Universe has an iconic badass as well. The 1989 film was a pop culture phenomenon that took the world by storm, and that's all down to Michael Keaton's flawless portrayal of the Dark Knight. Bruce Wayne makes a rather sparkling appearance here by coming in through the skylight and showing off his wonderful toys, but that's not all there is to this scene. It's also about how he strikes fear into the hearts of those goons and instructs them to spread the word about his existence. You know, I thought the guys at DC did something special by getting Keaton back into the Batsuit for the Flash.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
But I guess that sentiment only stuck till the trailer, eh?
Avengers!
Assemble.
Assemble.
Do I even need to justify why this one's at number 2? The portal scene in Avengers Endgame will probably remain the most uplifting moment in the 2010s era of filmmaking because it got millions of people all around the world jumping with excitement and relief in their seats. Never before has a movie been produced on such a scale and with such a tremendous payoff. Like seriously, all the grief and tears we had to deal with after Infinity War instantly went away with this sequence of mega entrances. It was thrilling beyond anything else we'd seen in the MCU, and it totally gave me goosebumps the first time I saw it. So if this moment isn't number 1, then who could it be?
Of course, I knew it. I knew it.
I did hint at it in the earlier Thor entry, so if you guessed it right, then congratulations. You know the TVCU just like you know your own family. I've probably covered Thor's Wakanda entrance so many times that I could write a whole book on it.
Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
But it can't be helped if the moment is so iconic. Plus, it is an entrance scene, so I have to be fair and include it in the spot that fits it the best. I swear, I'm going to run out of adjectives to describe this moment very soon. If it were up to me, I'd recreate that scene in real life every single day just to give myself an ego boost. Alright, that was an unexpected confession, but you know what I mean, right?
Oh, you messed up now.
Hope you liked the video, so please subscribe to the TV region, and here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.
Thank y'all for watching. I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. Y'all stay tuned. We out.